All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the T&M Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Maxim, and to my very, very, very left is my other friend, Tim, and I think in the center, if I'm not mistaken, is one of our good friends, one of our mentors, I guess you can call it, Mohammed. Nice to see you, buddy.
It's nice to meet you guys.
Listen.
You're our first guest in this series, so we're very excited to speak with you today. We'll try to keep it interactive, and we're gonna have possibly a few questions about your language learning skills and your vast experience, but we'll try to keep it informal and mention the just some tips for maybe new students or young people like us who are trying to learn new languages.
He's the real Google translator, if I can say so.
Not at that point, guys.
So the three questions that you like to ask?
Most definitely, yes. I would actually like to start off with kind of just asking you a really very simple question. How many languages are we talking on today? How many languages do you speak? And be honest, which one do you secretly think you sound the coolest in?
I speak 6 languages with different levels, and the one that I seem cool with, I think all of them. I like.
But if you had to pick out one, which one would it be? If you had or two maybe.
I will say 2: Spanish and Russian.
Oh.
This is totally and completely unrelated with the fact that you're
French teacher.
A podcast with 2 Russians here. Thank you.
No, nothing to do with that. That's the truth, guys.
What a coincidence.
That for now.
Exactly.
Thank you for your answer. And at which point did you realize, okay, I'm officially a language nerd. That's what I'm going to be doing my entire life, or a good portion of it. Was there a breakaway point for you in your mindset?
I was fine with French and English in high school. Then I did a master's degree in French studies. At the same time, I was studying a little bit English, intermediate level. At 24, I decided to go study Spanish. I remember that I went to a center. I started Spanish from scratch, from hello, my name is, etc. I was in A2 class, and I decided to take a B1 class, a B1 exam. I made it happen. I took the B1 certificate. Then I said, okay, why not learn other languages? It's a little bit, found it difficult. So I went to German and Russian. The last 2 were German and Russian.
It's really nice. It's I think you chose one of the most aggressive languages to learn.
Exactly. Yes, and the most difficult one also, I find. Yeah, German and Russian. They have 3 genders, for example.
That's a wild combo, honestly. I mean, and it's not that those languages are not popular, but still, when you mix them all, when you know them all together, I can imagine what's happening in your mind. But you were also talking about mainly your academic path, your journey where you had to take it as a part of your diploma, right? And academic-based incentives. But was there a moment where learning languages stopped being school and became for you kind of addictive?
Yes, when I was working as an adult and professional, so I didn't have to learn those languages. So it was just by passion, and it became an addiction. When you go to the gym, you always want to have more gains. You want to have more money. So with languages, it was the same logic also. But at certain time, you have to stop and perfect them a little bit, because it's better to speak 6 languages in a good way than to speak 10 with just hello, how are you doing? See?
It also works the same with money,
Exactly. Yes. You always want to be better, financially, economically, physically, whatever aspect.
I've got to say though, your bar is pretty high up, for regular people. I know how you're saying that you just simply want to perfect 6 languages, but for most people, speaking more than 1 or 2 sounds incomprehensible. So I just want to like, raise the bar back down for like our audience. I mean, learning
Yeah.
languages is cool, but I mean, you don't have to be like Mohammed.
Don't beat up on yourself, guys. Have empathy for yourself.
It's funny. I also think that like learning already another language is already like good enough, but then like when I look at people like Muhammad, I'm like, damn, I'm like no, nobody compared to Muhammad, learning 5 and 6 different languages.
But I think it
Exactly.
depends on everybody's intelligence. For example, for me, I'm not good with science, mathematics, etc. So I'm more on the linguistic, human side, you see? So it's preference, types of intelligence also, it matters also.
Exactly. But Mohammed is the type of guest that's just making us look bad, like as compared to. But still, like that was very very insightful, and thanks for the question.
I think it would be really nice to actually ask, I think, a very kind of like maybe deeper level question. Like a lot of people are learning, languages on a daily basis, but like I wanted to ask you something, Mohammed, that's I think very maybe important to the audience to know. Do you think that talent matters, like, or is it just consistency plus exposure to like the languages that you're learning in order to like learn the language, let's say, like in a certain amount of time?
I spoke a little bit before about intelligence. So, I mean, linguistic intelligence may be like a tendency for certain person that other won't have. But as they say, work or consistency beats talent. So even if you are talented, if you're not reviewing, if you're not practicing, as we say, if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. So I think it's a sweet spot. It's a balance between the two. And let's say I don't have talent, I will compensate by hard work. This way I can keep progressing.
That definitely echoes like in my language learning practice as well. I'm not like a language wizard, but I know at least like two languages and a half, including Russian, English, and a little Spanish. So uh, I was just going to ask for someone that's, let's say, starting out a new language from scratch, wants to learn a new language from scratch. Because we've all heard that stuff online where people are advertising their own like courses and tutorials, saying you will have an intermediate French or English, right, in a matter of weeks. Let's say realistically, would you say, like, let's be precise, would you say 6 months is a good time to learn a new language? And if you do, what would your best like advice be in terms of strategizing that learning during this limited time?
That's a good question because a lot of people they say they will make you an upper intermediate in 3 months. There is a certain space in your brain that you can full. At a certain time, you're gonna be tired. You don't go to the gym for 2 days in a row and you become Mr. Olympia. You have to rest, you have to sleep, you have to eat. Same thing with languages. So I give you an example. People who study here in Canada full time, like Monday to Friday, like morning, afternoon, they finish, let's say they reach level 8, which is upper intermediate in 1 year. So imagine if it's half time, let's say 2 years. So you asked me about 6 months. I will say you can be functional in 6 months, depending on your performance, what do you do each day, etc. I think you can be A2, which is like upper beginner, or a B1, which is a intermediate, like independent intermediate. This is about the time frame. Now, what to do? There is levels when you learn any language. There is A1, A2, B1, B2. So when I say A1, it's like a system. What a Russian speaker should know in A1 is the same thing for French speaker, for English speaker, it's the same. So I made a video lately. Ask ChatGPT, for example, to give you, so if you don't want to waste no money on teachers or on courses, etc. Hey ChatGPT, give me a program for A2, for A1, for vocabulary, for grammar. So because a language you have to learn how to communicate, but you need the structure also. Tenses, preposition, verbs, etc. to have a certain like structure. And step by step, you start learning. At the same time, learn the most important sentences. So when I started Russian, I was learning "Я патриарса, я не говорю по-русски, вы можете мне помогать мне." I still remember it.
Yes.
Films just from YouTube, and I found myself having like the little bit of confidence to communicate without even knowing the padege, the rules, etc. Even my grammar sucks, but I can communicate. So I think it's a good balance between working on your vocabulary and your grammar, but also throwing yourself to speak and be confident to speak, not waiting to become perfect and start to speak. It's never gonna happen.
It's really interesting, Mohammed, because a lot of today's I think teachers would kind of like think otherwise. Because I also wanted to ask you kind of a also important question. Like what's something like you personally do as a tutor, as a teacher, that like you would not recommend. Like let's say like what's something you do that most teachers would not recommend, right? Like. But it's actually works in a way that like, and people learn to like adapt to like learning the language faster,
Very good question. What I do is like I'm using the language that I know to facilitate the learning of French to people. So for example, there is some mistakes that English speaker will make. Like for example, they will say, I wait for, they will copy this structure on French. But for French, I just say, I wait Maxime. I don't say, I wait for Maxime, for example. There is some mistakes related to Spanish speaker. So once I switch in the language, they learn like this. And officially, they say you're not supposed to teach with another language. And I give it metaphor, like someone broke into your house, for example, or someone wants to attack you, and you can defend yourself by whatever weapon, and you're gonna say, you know what, let's just fight like by hands. No, why I'm gonna lose my energy? I have languages. I make it easy for students. I use this method, it's very useful. And also I create a book, it's called Hack French and Speak from Day One. I just write the most important sentences for introduction, for ordering a coffee, etc., with English translation. Once you know these sentences, you are more likely to be independent in those situations.
I've got to say, like, to just add up to what you just said, I did personally like use this book myself and like benefit a lot from that. So it's nice, and like it's hard to find right now. Like I feel like in the market, like a very nice, like sharp book that teaches you just like the necessities. It's always like without overloading you with like a lot of grammar rules. So it's
Exactly.
it's very efficient in a way. Hack French, by the way, I'm sure we're gonna like leave a link here for anyone that's interested.
for sure.
On that account, like I know like 7 languages is a lot. Like you've probably compared, contrasted them, like the way they sound and the way they represent your thinking process. Just what I'm interested in, like out of the languages that you know, would you name one language that is the most efficient in terms of delivering your messages versus maybe like one language that is the most expressive and that you're enjoying the way it sounds?
Okay, Spanish, I enjoy the way it sounds. It feels like musical, You start to get into the mind, you feel like you're in Mexico or something like that. Hola amigos, ¿qué tal?
Yeah, estoy de acuerdo, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn a little bit of Spanish also, Tim, yeah?
Sí, yo hablo un poco de español.
Hablas español, yeah. I remember in the class you were always sometimes giving me some words from Spanish that are similar to French.
Do you know what's funny? Like, I just want to like point out something. A lot of the pronunciations, because I also learned Spanish back in high school as well. A lot of the pronunciations that let's say you say in Spanish are very similar to Russian, because like let's say like the letter R in Spanish you use it like a R sound as well.
Yes.
Same thing in Russian, and it's very like when you try to speak it or like read Spanish, like a lot of the like level 1 or like level 2. Teachers are like very surprised, like how do you like pronounce it very well? Because it's easy, because like Russian is we pronounce it the same way,
I would say there's a lot of Russians like benefit like from their vocabulary, in learning the languages like Spanish or Arabic, right?
Yeah.
Where there is some similarities, the way like you articulate sentences and the way you pronounce words.
Yeah.
Sorry, to back to my question, the most expressive, yes. How about the most efficient one?
Efficient one, maybe English, Russian, or German. These three, one of these three.
I actually wanted to like say one more thing. Sorry guys. I just wanted to like kind of also say like because thank God I know like Russian because like Russian is my first language, you know, because I'm thankful to God, you know, that it's my first language, not like my fifth language or like my third language or even my second language because you know like when you start to look at the grammar that you need to use in order to like you know express yourself, I'm like thank God like I learned to speak it first, you know, than later on in my life. So that's in some ways kind of like a beneficial way as well. So
I agree fully. Like that's not the language. Just the fact that I speak it, you know, it's enough for me. That's not absolutely not the language I would learn, you know, if, as a non-speaker. And I gotta, you know, credit your bravery and you know just willingness to learn a language like that because, and also Chinese like Mandarin. Didn't you say you started learning that as
I
well?
started a little bit of Mandarin, then I stopped. Yeah, Mandarin is easy, by the way, for the grammar. For example, I am, they have like I am, you am, he am. The am is the same, but they have tones like ma, and each ma has a different meaning. So that what makes it tough. Yeah.
Well, I just
uh,
remember hearing something similar in French, right? Where there's a lot of things.
Not as
Uh,
no, it's more than French
um,
now. It's tougher, yeah,
you first
tougher.
could give like a few examples of like the words sounding like
Like
to my
éteindre,
ears like
entendre.
the
Yeah.
same, and then they mean something completely different.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Mohammed, I wanted to ask you kind of like something like a contradictory question, you know, something that like I feel like you as a French teacher, you know, and just like a teacher of multiple languages, I feel like can answer this in terms of some of the most like, I guess, stereotypical questions, if that makes sense. So like, what's something that about like, let's say language of like the French language that learners struggle with way more than they should that you have noticed over the years?
They struggle with sometimes they read stuff that are silent because French sometimes you write something and you don't pronounce it. So this is the main thing that give like hard time to students, and sometimes the grammar and the exceptions. French has a lot of exceptions, and the student gets to be like disappointed because of that. Sometimes they think they grasp it, then there is the exception of the exception. What I recommend to students is to keep your mental flexibility. So it's like, okay, you made a mistake, keep going. Don't be tough on yourself, don't be disappointed, just keep going. Step by step, you're gonna learn better. And that's a good question because this reminds me of something that is blocking students from learning, which is the psychological judgment. I'm gonna make a mistake, people gonna laugh at me, I will feel like inferior, etc. No, you are learning, it's a process, just enjoy it. If you make a mistake, whatever mistake you make, people after 2 minutes, they're gonna forget about you. They have bills to pay, they have their own problems. They're not gonna lose sleep because Tim or Maxim or Mohammed made a mistake of grammar. It's crazy. Yeah.
Because
That's,
I see a lot of even like native speakers like myself, like even in Russian, sometimes I mispronounce words because I've been living in the States for a long time, you know, and it's like sometimes I can get like my words or my pronunciations confused with like let's say from English, you know, and it's like it's a problem. You know, again, as you said, people forget it like this.
exactly.
It's just about practice.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Because I saw a lot of people who are lacking confidence in beginner level and in higher level. So the confidence generally it comes with practice or with preparation, but not always. Sometimes we'll find someone who's beginner with like a very bad grammar, but is very confident speaking, blah 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 blah. Blah. And someone who's with a good or great grammar, but who's like stopping himself from speaking because he's scared of making mistakes. So.
But the confident one would learn more at the end of the day, right? Because he's
What is
like,
it? Exactly. Yeah. Because you cannot learn about swimming by reading about swimming. You have to throw yourself into the water to start swimming.
yeah, sure. Like even if he's like super bad right now, like and he is just the fact of exposing yourself. I think like social aspect is a big thing, like in language learning, and a lot of those thoughts that like people are going to make fun of you are actually stopping people from learning. And this is, to me, this is like rare that to hear that from a teacher, because a lot of people out there just don't realize also like how people's minds work when they're learning. Once you know something, it's like projection is a big thing, and like you're just. I'm sure there's been times where you've been like, a little bit like annoyed with students, like why can't you learn this? Why can't you learn that? But then you realize like they're new to that. They're totally like
It's a process,
they
yeah,
don't have.
yeah. It's normal. Because also knowing the thing theoretically and using it is not the same thing. We know a lot of stuff, but sometimes when we want to put them in practice, there is all the reflexes that are coming back. So it needs time, it needs practice, trial, error, rectification, step by step. And we need to, as a teacher, we need to create like a safe space for students. Because students generally they feel shy, they are like intimidated by the teacher, by their friends, etc. A lot of students come to me at the end of the class telling me, I feel that I need to change imagine first class, beginner, like full beginner. Teacher, I feel that I have to change the class. People are better than me. No, there is no like minor class. This is the scratch. So
Well,
don't.
I hope you didn't mean someone in particular right now who said that to you.
No. I tell
First,
them don't compare yourself to people. Focus on your own path, and step by step you're gonna be better. That's it.
that was
Interesting.
exactly my thinking. When I came to this group, the one that you taught French in, and everybody was like level 2, and I just realized that everybody has like 4 or 5 months of learning French, and I'm just joining like fresh.
Yeah.
So, but you see, like at first I was terrified, but then like I think it worked out okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I just to diverge a little bit from your teaching side, because I feel like we've covered that a bunch. We also know you're like creating a lot of valuable content for language learning and not only. So my next question to you would be like, how did you actually go from learning slash teaching languages to like actually putting yourself out there online and even publishing your own textbook? Was it like a natural process for you, or did you at some point realize that, okay, I don't want to be like all those other teachers, just working 9 to 5 like for their salary, and I just want to like achieve something more? Like, can you just maybe dive into
That's an
that for a
interesting
bit?
question. Yeah, I think both. It's natural and strategical also because 10 years ago I started YouTube channel. If you go, you're gonna find it. You're gonna like laugh like a lot. I had hair, I had bad lighting, etc. And I had a video about figure of speech. It got almost 1 million views at that time, like 10 years ago. And you know the worst part? I lost that channel. Somebody was taking care of it. I didn't have any access, email, phone, forgot everything. So I lost it. Now I just see it from outside as a normal viewer. But to come back to what you said, I'm not a big fan of social media, especially like at the beginning I wasn't a big fan. I just made the videos to make it easier for students who join my class later. Instead of having to repeat everything, I just tell them like, go look at this, watch this video, you will learn better. I explain French in English so they will understand better. So step by step, the Instagram page was like getting like more followers. TikTok was crazier even. Some videos just let them like they reach 250,000 views. Now I have 23K in TikTok. I just started a few months ago. It's crazy, but it's very interesting because it helps students, even students who are not mine. So people they just get value from that small video, small reels, and even it makes me find new clients. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. You give value to people, you like hustle to find new clients, and now I have a lot of people coming from Instagram and from TikTok. So almost I don't need to go like work as a teacher in school. I just work directly
Okay.
to students. I
Yeah,
still
I
have
see
some
where you're going.
schools, but that's a
Yeah.
fun thing also, directly with students. Yeah, so giving value, doing like marketing for yourself, and yeah, the rest is history, step by step, and still like just the beginning of the journey. I'm still like I wanna have more people, maybe 1 million on Instagram or TikTok. It's gonna be a nice thing.
Was it weird, like, just to add on that, like, was it weird at first talking to a camera in multiple, like, languages or just in one language, let's say?
Interesting. No, no, it wasn't weird. No, sometimes I just put the camera, tack, 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 and with time also it becomes like automatic. You know, the whatever you do and you repeat, the nervous system gets used to it. In the beginning, maybe a little bit you feel like okay, stress, etc. But with time, you don't care. Even when having a class, I stream it on TikTok live, like with no filter. People they learn, and I'm marketing my classes while giving my classes. So it's like being paid for the class and free marketing. I think there isn't more that I can do from this. Yeah, just you have to scale it after step by step.
No, that's awesome. And like, yeah, I'm sure like for whoever's interested, we're gonna leave a couple links like for people to follow your journey. Because myself, I get I stick to like some videos and then you keep scrolling. But then once you like find something that's actually useful, this is like a better time pasture, I'm sure, like for a lot of people. Because the format is nice, like the format is easily accessible, it's you can do it before sleep. You can like watch your videos like while you eat food, and that's like I would argue in the modern like age, like, that's the way to learn really, because like a
You're
lot of
right.
people are finding it. You're speaking from a content creator's like viewpoint. I'm speaking right now from more like content consumer viewpoint. It's it's a win-win, honestly, from what you
Yes,
described.
yes.
Your students, it works like very much in our favor as well.
Yeah, because you want to give the maximum value in like the shortest amount of time. And people they want to keep the secret or just like come to my class, I'll give you more. No, I don't care. I'll give you the most like the maximum of information I can give you. After that, you want to come to the class, you are welcome. You'll not take advantage of it, enjoy it. No worries. There will be always teacher, there will be always other students. So yeah, the world is big for everyone. There is abundance. So and also, I have a principle. When you do good, it comes back. And I have a lot of stories about that. The majority of my students, it's like a referral. Lately, for example, I woke up one morning, I received a call from a company I didn't know this company, nothing to do with them. I started to teach them. I didn't even know who gave them my number. Once I arrived, I found that it was a student that I had in MIFI also 1 year ago. I didn't even remember her face until I saw her. So if you give a good service, you're good to people, it's gonna talk about you, whether now or later. It's gonna be the best marketing strategies to take care of people.
True. It's very true, and I take that a lot from like actually my work job that I also work at. Mohammed, I wanted to actually kind of like switch it up again, diverge one more time to I guess a set of questions, maybe like a little bit more light and kind of a little bit more easygoing, if that makes sense. So I wanted to ask you a question, because I've done this before. And be honest, like, have you ever pretended not to understand a language just to avoid a conversation with somebody?
No, but sometimes I'm in a coffee or in a bus or metro and I understand people speaking next to me. But this I never had this case. No, I'm honest. I swear.
Do you ever listen into the conversations, just like so it's maybe interesting?
I can't help it. Like, for example, once I was teaching like a girl and I was explaining to her in Russian and I'm hearing Arabic or Spanish people speaking. It's like my ear catches it and it comes in. So I can be like a little bit not distracted, but like I'm doing the two things at the same time. I'm teaching her French, but this ear is grasping like what people are saying.
You cannot avoid it at this point, right?
You
No
can't.
one's silent. Just, it comes up naturally. Like, even if you don't
Exactly.
want understand whatever like other people's conversation. It's just like, you know, it's just there. You're exposed to it.
Exactly. If you don't understand it, it's just noise. But if you understand it, it's you follow the scenario, you know what's happening, you know the problem.
And on that
Nice.
note, like just an honest question. So how many times did you maybe like swear at the language that no one else understands in the room? Like what if there was a time?
No, I think if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it in my mind. So yeah.
Okay.
I won't choose any. I won't choose any language particularly. Maybe it's gonna come in my mother tongue or French or English. Generally, yeah,
You know what? Russian is pretty well suited for that purpose.
yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah, speaking
language.
of expressive languages, you know, when
Exactly that.
something is, I think I have a sin. So like when no one is in the room understands Russian, I can be sometimes, you know, a little more expressive than I'm supposed to in my language. That usually doesn't lead to much problems. As it is with money and power, you know, with languages, might sound cliche, but like I personally think as it's equally a gift as it is a responsibility. So like you have to like use your knowledge wisely and like I'm sure like knowing seven languages pays off like even like daily
Yeah,
in terms of just the amount of information that you have access to, the amount of like written texts that you can understand and like live through some stories of
yeah.
people that you read. Um,
Talk, talking about responsibility, I sometimes like I was in administration where the lady speaking just French and there is some Latino guy speaking just Spanish. They didn't understand each other, so I intervene. I translate to them. It's like you can use it for humor purposes also. Yeah.
I guess the question here would be for someone with like a similar background like myself and Max, who have recently moved abroad or maybe planning to do this in the nearest future. Uh, Is there any mm, destination or language that you would say is like too overrated, overly overrated, uh, or maybe some language that nobody knows about, but you think it has a vast potential?
Interesting. Deciding if a language is overrated or underrated, I think it's a personal choice, and also it depends on the context. For example, if I want to talk objectively speaking, even French is overrated because except francophone countries, who speaks French in the world? Not a big, not a big quantity of countries. You have Chinese, Spanish, English, Arabic. So French is not the top, let's say, top three spoken languages in the world. When I was trying to learn a language, I was thinking about like people who are speaking the language and if it's economically speaking, if this language is interesting or not. For example, my cousins are Italian. I started learning Italian. Then I said, if I learn Italian, I will speak with people just from Italy. So it's limited. And then I switched to Spanish. Latino America, Spain, etc. You see? So overrated, underrated, I think it depends on each person. But once you choose the language that you want to learn, or you have like a purpose by learning it, which is economical or professional or wherever, it's very important to have the right reasons because it's important for motivation. You know, for example, you are in Quebec, even if you feel like tired or you don't have motivation, you will say, no, I need French to improve my career, to integrate society. You know, people when they think about motivation, they think about feeling. But it's also an idea, it's the why. So I think you should have a strong why of learning languages, and it's gonna make it like easier for you or less hard if it's hard from the first place.
And you're giving a lot of that motivation in your videos themselves, I feel like. So it's for a lot of people, like given the Canadian context and like the situation out here in Quebec, for a lot of people, I feel like it's tied to their job opportunities and their like career paths out here, because learning French is definitely like a a great asset here in Canada.
Yes.
In the U.S., Max, maybe like, is there a language that's like super worth learning? In just to wrap up our topic here,
I
besides
think
English.
I think what's so great about the United States is that like it's such a like diverse kind of like popularity kind of like place, if that makes sense. There's so many languages that you can learn, and it's like let's say in Florida, for example, where I live. I think besides English, the most spoken language is Spanish, pretty much, because there are so many Cubans, Colombians, Venezuelans, people coming all over from Latin America. And it's like, and it's being learned in schools, and everywhere else. Like half of the teachers are Hispanic. It's very nice to know that language as well. Besides English as well. People learn a lot of French as well, like in our schools. If I would say like the second most spoken language, definitely Spanish.
Yeah.
Definitely Spanish. Mohammed, I actually wanted to close out. So for today's, such like very interesting, I think like very in-depth episode that we have talked about today. So I wanted to ask you one last thing, or actually two more things. For someone listening who wants to start learning a language, let's say tomorrow or now, what's the basic step one? No overthinking.
Very good question. I will try to learn how to introduce myself, introduce my family, talk about my daily activities, and try to handle my daily situation, which is the coffee, the post office, the gym, the hospital, immediate environment. Once you are able to communicate in those situations, you can build up on that. You go to a higher level where you can discuss ideas, talk about deeper subjects. You see, grammatically speaking, you can start with present tense, then past tense, future tense, because this is the most likely situation that you're going to be in life. You're going to speak about what you're going to do tomorrow or next year, or what you did in the past, or what you are doing now, or generally. There is other important tenses, but it's not the first step. If you do this in the first few months, that's a very good strategy.
Interesting. Okay.
Right up on that. In that sense, do you believe in people learning by themselves in those first steps? Like right now, there's a lot of technology where people can save a lot of time by not going to class and kind of, lock in.
Yes.
Speaking of AI and like all the multiple tools that we have at our disposal for learning languages. Do you believe in that, or would you say that still in 2026, someone that's trying to learn something feasible, they should have this in-person interaction that we've had in our courses?
Interesting question. It will depend on the profile of each person. For me, speaking about myself, the most part of my progress, it was by myself. I will find some audios, English to Russian or something like that, with books. I will read in the metro, try to speak with people, etc. This, for me, it was better, because even in a class, you don't have the full focus of the teacher. It spreads it on other students. At the same time, there is some students even who needs a physical contact, and I find it, like logically speaking, it doesn't make sense. Now I'm in front of you. If I teach you something linguistically speaking, I'm not putting a USB in your brain. You will understand. If I am in front of you, it doesn't change a big deal. I have a lot of lost clients because my classes are online, not in person. I find it crazy, but to answer your question, some people have it like an obligatory requirement to be in person with the teacher. So,
And may say I'm just one of these people. Again, cannot explain that. It's just the way
you
it
can't.
is.
You can't. Exactly, it is what it is.
Many times with what's the app? The one, the
Duolingo.
Duolingo one, right? It
Yes.
gives you like step by step instructions, all
Yes.
of that. At some point,
Right.
you cannot keep the consistency, and you
Exactly.
cannot be
Exactly.
up to speed.
Yeah, you don't
For
need
me,
apples and like monkeys in the beginning of your learning.
exactly.
You need to speak about yourself.
The interaction with someone is actually part of that motivation that we've touched upon, right? This is like to prove someone that you can do this, especially like in the the kind of encouraging environment that you created in your classes, like this is, I guess, like the easiest to learn language.
Exactly. And one more important element is relevancy. If something is not relevant for you, even your brain will not accept it. You're gonna ask yourself why I'm doing what I'm doing. I heard there is teachers teaching punctuation for 3 hours in a row, double dots, comma. What I'm gonna do with this? I wanna speak. I wanna integrate society. So it should be like energetic and relevant for students, so they can keep their motivation.
100%, 100%.
Interesting. Mohammed, thank you so much for for coming into our episode. And like I just wanted to like follow up on one last question. For the audience. Where can people find your content and follow your journey?
So on Instagram it's super underscore professor, but professeur it's in French, not in English, not OR, EUR at the end. And on TikTok, super prof underscore Canada. I'll share with you
Yeah.
the
So
links.
yeah, well, everything's going to be for you guys in the description below, guys. So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Mohammed, again for joining us today. It was such a special time to be with you. So we will see you guys, in the next episodes of T&M Podcast. So take care, guys.
Thank you, guys. We're hopefully gonna have more exceptional guests like today, and I mean, I hope you enjoyed this little insight on language learning as tied to our whole journey. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next episode.
See you guys. Bye-bye.